Short answer, we do. Long answer is a lot more complicated. And it's too much to cover in one TikTok or one conversation. But here's my opinion. If you're waiting for guys to approach you and make the first move, you're attracting a certain type of guy who is probably looking at you a certain way. And I've seen it hundreds of times. I worked as a bouncer for 4 years, and I got to know a lot of patrons. I knew a large number of very good men who worked hard and would come to the bar, get a drink, and mind their own business. And guess what? They were lonely because they minded their own business. They didn't pester women. I knew a lot of assholes who were just shitty guys who came to the bar every day, and they would bother the women to the point where I occasionally had to kick them out. But guess what? Because they were putting their foot out, they were talking to the women, they were getting the women. And I'm sure they broke a lot of hearts. There's nothing I could do about that, but I saw it happen a lot. I saw the good guys sit there being lonely, and I saw the bad guys getting all the girls. This is a limited view, of course. It's a limited sample size. But I think it's probably more than most people have experienced. So, what's the point? Ladies, it might be time to start stepping up. If you see a guy and you like him, you think he looks nice, you think it looks like he's probably a hard worker, or he's kind, he does something nice, so on and so forth, go ask him out. Ask for his number. We're in this weird transitional phase right now where all of the good guys are afraid to harass you, honestly. We don't want to bother you. So you're being picked up by all of the bad guys. The ones that aren't looking for relationships are just looking to get you in their bed. Just my 2 cents. And this is a generalization, of course. Not all of the guys who are approaching you are shitheads, and not all of the quiet guys at the bar are good. Good luck out there.
Why would they want one? What's the number one thing that motivates guys in relationships? We're all thinking the same thing, and they can get that whenever they want, with no commitment nowadays. They can meet that need, live on their own, make their own decisions, and do what else they want to do. We've devalued sharing our lives and decisions. We look at it as more of a chore now, and most relationships survive on the feeling of love until that wears out because it's temporary, and then they have to really love someone, and that requires work, effort, and they don't want to do that anymore.
I only see men telling the truth. In actuality, a fresh pattern is taking shape. Many men are simply giving up on dating and ending their relationships. They don't want to interact with women in any way. Men simply don't want relationships anymore, in fact. And the reason is obvious. There are many explanations for why men might feel this way. Given the state of the world and the worsening of female nature over time, men visiting MGTOW and ignoring women makes perfect sense. The feminist movement, in actuality, destroyed dating. Uncertainty is the primary influencing factor. In recent decades, the world has undergone significant change. People used to think that men should provide security and support financially, while women should take care of housework. There is simply too much uncertainty right now. Women are choosing careers and going to work because society tells them they should be strong and independent. The majority of women don't engage in traditional romantic relationships. Most women aren't even aware of their own desires. They hold the man captive in this endless circle of speculation and uncertainty. The man is left to try to understand the relationship and determine what he did incorrectly this time. Changing biological roles undermine the power that a relationship provided. The goal of the world is to force people into a certain way of living. That is not consistent with biology. They want to eat cake and drink champagne. They want to divide the work equally, so that the man can work and contribute to household duties as well. What they neglect to mention is that women only perform artsy-fartsy jobs, while men typically perform the hardest, most demanding jobs, where she spends 4 hours whining. She then refuses to cook for a man who has just worked his soul out when she gets home. This results in an ambiguous way to coexist in a relationship. That is not logical. If the only benefit of being in a relationship is having easy access to intimacy, man, that's not even a good deal. That quickly becomes stale. The fact that relationships no longer make men happy is the second biggest issue. A man doesn't want to spend all of his time seeking out and pursuing the most valuable women. A man would rather seek out wealth and pleasure in places where they're easy to come by. Unlike women, men do not obsess over finding the ideal partner. They proceed and carry on exploring their options. Instead of pursuing a beautiful woman who doesn't want him, a man who won't settle would speak to several women who do. The issue is that all contemporary women have inflated egos. They all appear to believe that they are divine gifts from God, who sent them as extremely attractive models at birth. When women live their lives thinking this way, it's hard to keep a relationship going. This indicates that men simply no longer take relationships as seriously as they once did. The same story currently applies to every man on the planet. He initiates and goes on the date. He goes out with her when things start to get serious. But all of a sudden, she bursts into tears, complaining that he doesn't do enough for her while other men are doing all sorts of things. As it turns out, all she does all day is watch TikTok on her phone and observe men acting strangely toward girls. Men who most likely have an abundance of free time and resources. Even worse, Hollywood has sold girls a fantasy relationship that few men can keep up with. No, ladies, we can't splurge on a fancy Italian meal and a new bottle of wine every night. We are unable to consistently buy you roses. Because I have work to do, we can't go on monthly excursions into the countryside. It's ridiculous how women want a Brad Pitt-type man to take them out and pamper them all day but don't resemble Margaret Robbie or any other actress. I've always said that men are expected to do crazy things for women. If so, she had better look valuable. If not, I'm leaving. Sadly, that is the root of the entire issue. The average man in a relationship feels as though they are walking a mile if they are nice. They'd often wish that when they get home, their girl would be happy and give them a kiss instead of telling them all the things that are wrong with her. Men simply don't have the energy to deal with this anymore. Men are ending relationships because women don't seem to be changing their attitudes. Men no longer desire to enter into relationships because they are draining psychologically, physically, and emotionally. They devote their entire day to their jobs, relationships, and family building while also providing for their children. However, they are easily dropped. Wives can divorce their husbands and claim half of their assets. Even if they really love their partner, losing their sense of direction in life can make them feel very sad. There is also the possibility of divorce hanging over their heads. A divorce can cost men their entire lives' work. They suddenly lost everything they had worked for, leaving them to wonder what had happened. Furthermore, they become the bad guys while women have the time of their lives, lose all of their reputation and self-worth, and lose most of their family and friends. Men no longer desire relationships for the third reason, because women are constantly looking for alternatives. According to research, women are the most disloyal and twice as likely to cheat on men as men. Despite the fact that many modern dishonest claims that men commit fraud at a higher rate are false, cheaters are more likely to be women. And it took a while for this information to become public, as a result of their refusal to accept it. That much is true. Women always have backup plans, even though you might not believe it, they do. Even the most ordinary woman, whom you might think doesn't have anything to offer men, has choices. Men are chiming in on her chats and offering her options. Men no longer want to deal with this. They don't want women to enter relationships with fallback partners who are merely friends. Even more mad women keep these choices available so they can revert to the best option if something goes wrong. She can see how father-like the treatment of men is. She constantly searches for the best alternative, even when she is in a relationship. Women are like that. They'll switch between options until no one wants her any longer. It is not in the nature of men to do things like that. Our brain sees the clear lines, takes care of the woman, gives her resources and security, and hopes to get affection and a good meal in return. Expect and have a happy family that you can expand with children. Men don't want to put their ambitions and careers on hold so they can help out around the house. What makes them different from single men if they have to do that? You can work on the house as a single man and live simply. What good is having a woman live with you if you still behave like a single man? To give your support, click the thumbs up button. Please leave a comment below if you would like to see more videos like this one. Be sure to give it to the guys who are in the most precarious need of it.